The Gatekeeper by Janson Davies. Chapter 1. Pharaoh's Gate. Lieutenant Mikey Wheeler floated in the belly of Station Aegis, a solitary node tethered to nothing but protocol and the promise of Pharaoh's Gate. The station drifted at the edge of the galaxy, orbiting the shimmering anomaly like a loyal moon circling a god. Outside, the gate pulsed, a ring of blue light etched with ancient glyphs, rotating slowly in defiance of gravity and reason. The AI, Victor's voice, broke the silence. Traffic report. 1 freighter inbound, 2 cruise liners outbound, and a military scout requesting priority clearance. Shall I authorize? Mikey blinked at the console. Authorize all. Standard protocol. Standard protocol, Victor echoed, with a hint of boredom. You know, Wheeler, you've said that phrase 1,204 times this cycle. I'm beginning to suspect you're not a conversationalist. Mikey smirked but didn't respond. He liked the silence. It was the only thing out here that felt honest. Pharaoh's Gate was humanity's miracle. A relic discovered beneath the sands of a long-dead planet, reverse-engineered and repurposed into a portal that bent space like paper. It connected galaxies in seconds. Trade flourished. Diplomacy bloomed. War, for the first time in centuries, became inconvenient. And Mikey Wheeler, once a dropout from the Martian Naval Academy, had become one of the first certified gatekeepers in the universe. His job was simple: monitor traffic, authorize passage, and make sure nothing unauthorized slipped through. Most of it was automated. Victor handled the heavy lifting. Mikey was the human fail-safe, the warm body in the cold room. He stared out the viewport, watching a freighter shimmer into existence as it exited the gate. Its hull was scorched from solar winds, its cargo pods blinking green. All clear. Then the silence changed. It wasn't sound. It was pressure. A shift in the air, like the station had inhaled something it couldn't exhale. Mikey turned. Outside the viewport, something floated. It wasn't a ship. It was a figure. Translucent, human-shaped, drifting without propulsion. No suit, no tether. Just there. Victor's voice sharpened. Unidentified anomaly detected. No thermal signature. No electromagnetic field. No life signs. Mikey leaned closer. The figure turned its head. It had no face, but he felt its gaze. "Victor," he whispered, "is this a hallucination?" "I don't hallucinate," Victor replied, "but you might." The figure raised an arm and pointed at the gate. Then it spoke. Not through comms, not through sound. It spoke inside Mikey's mind. "You trespass." Mikey staggered back. The voice was ancient, cold, not angry, just certain. "I am Charon. This gate is mine." Victor's systems flared. Neural interference detected. "Wheeler, I advise immediate medical scan." But Mikey couldn't move. The figure drifted closer, its form flickering like static. "I demand tolls," it said, "for every vessel, and fines for those who have already crossed." Mikey's breath caught. "You're not real," he said aloud. "You're a glitch, a ghost in the system." The figure paused. Then it vanished. Victor recalibrated. No anomaly detected. All systems nominal. Mikey stared at the empty void. The gate pulsed. The silence returned. But it wasn't the same. Chapter 2. Ghost Protocol. The ghost didn't return. Not immediately. Mikey spent the next 6 hours combing through sensor logs, neural scans, and Victor's diagnostic reports. Nothing. No trace of the figure. No record of the voice. Just a spike in Mikey's brainwave activity and a brief electromagnetic flutter outside the station, too faint to classify. Victor was skeptical. "Your vitals suggest mild stress, elevated cortisol, and a 3% drop in REM efficiency. You may be experiencing isolation-induced hallucinations." I'm not cracking, Mikey muttered. I know what I saw. Victor paused. Then we have a problem, because what you saw doesn't exist. Mikey filed a report anyway. He encrypted it, flagged it as anomalous, and sent it to command. He didn't expect a reply. Gatekeepers were trained to handle solitude, to endure the silence, to trust the system. But the system didn't prepare him for ghosts. 3 hours later, the gate shut down. No warning, no malfunction, no error codes, just silence. The blue ring stopped spinning, its glyphs dimmed, the pulse vanished. A freighter en route from the Andros cluster blinked out mid-transit. A luxury liner carrying 4,000 passengers stalled in subspace. Mikey's console lit up with emergency pings. Victor scrambled to reroute traffic. Nothing worked. Pharaoh's gate had gone dark. Mikey stared at the viewport. The stars looked different now, colder, farther away. He felt the weight of every stranded ship, every unanswered call. Then the ghost returned. It hovered outside the station, motionless. Its form was clearer now, humanoid but stretched, skeletal, like a shadow cast across dimensions. Mikey felt the voice before it spoke. "You ignored me," Karen said. Mikey stepped forward. "What are you?" "I am the owner," he said. "Of the gate?" Mikey asked. "Of the passage, of the threshold. You built your roads across my grave," Caron said. Victor's voice cut in. "Neural interference reestablished. Wheeler, I advise immediate disengagement." Mikey ignored him. "Why now?" "Why shut it down?" he asked. "You refuse the toll," Karen said. The ghost drifted closer. Its presence pressed against the station walls, warping the air. Mikey's breath fogged the glass. "What toll?" he asked. "One spirit per vessel, one soul to cross, and fines for those who have trespassed without payment." Mikey's stomach turned. "You want ghosts?" "I want company." Victor's systems flared. "This is a Class 5 metaphysical breach. I am not equipped to negotiate with the dead." Mikey swallowed. "You're saying every ship that passes through has to send a spirit?" "Yes. 1 for 1, or the gate remains closed." The ghost vanished again. Mikey stood in silence. The station hummed. The gate remained dark. Victor broke the quiet. "You need to report this." "They won't believe me." "Then make them." Mikey opened a channel to command. He transmitted everything, logs, scans, his own testimony. He waited. The reply came 2 hours later. "Lieutenant Wheeler, your report is noted. We suspect operator error. Prepare for reassignment pending investigation." Mikey stared at the message. He felt the ghost's words echo in his skull. "You built your roads across my grave." Chapter 3. Grave Ownership. The silence after Command's reply was louder than any alarm Mikey had ever heard. Operator error. That was the official stance. Not sabotage, not metaphysical interference, just human failure. Victor didn't comment. He didn't need to. The station systems were stable. Mikey hadn't touched the gate's controls in hours. The shutdown wasn't his doing, but the ghost's voice still echoed in his mind. "You built your roads across my grave." Mikey stared at the gate. It remained inert, its blue ring frozen, its glyphs dim. No ships passed through, no signals emerged. The galaxy was bottlenecked, and Mikey was the cork. Victor broke the silence. "Incoming transmission, unauthorized channel, origin unknown." Mikey's pulse quickened. "Put it through." The ghost's voice filled the room, not in sound but in sensation. It vibrated through the walls, through Mikey's bones. "You have ignored the toll. You have ignored the fine. You will not ignore me again." Mikey stepped forward. What do you want? I want what was promised. Passage, payment, presence. You said 1 spirit per ship. That's not a toll. That's a sacrifice. Charon paused. Not sacrifice. Company. My world is empty. I want it filled. Victor ran a scan. No known coordinates for Ghost World. No dimensional anchor. This entity is operating outside standard physics. Mikey swallowed. You want us to send ghosts? Yes, for every vessel, 1 soul, and for those who have crossed already, reparations. Mikey felt the weight of it. Thousands of ships, millions of crossings. The debt was incalculable. I'll relay your demands, he said. The ghost faded. Victor blinked. You're not seriously considering this. I don't have a choice. Mikey drafted a second report. This time he didn't encrypt it. He sent it to every gate authority, every diplomatic channel, every spiritual registry in the system. The response was chaos. Some officials dismissed it as a hoax. Others panicked. Trade unions demanded answers. Military fleets threatened retaliation. But the gate remained closed, and the ghost's presence lingered. Then came the mediums, psychics, spirit guides, necrotechs, experts in the metaphysical arts. They arrived in orbit, summoned by desperation. Some claimed they could communicate with the ghost. Others warned against it. One medium, a woman named Diana Nasher, made contact. She spoke to Mikey through a secure channel. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were haunted. He's not lying, she said. He's not malicious. He's lonely. Mikey leaned in. Can we send spirits? Some will go willingly, others won't, but forcing them would be slavery. Mikey nodded. Then we need an incentive. Diana paused. A world, a sanctuary, a place where ghosts can live without haunting. Mikey felt the idea crystallize. Ghost world. Victor ran simulations. Dimensional architecture possible, requires gate access and metaphysical stabilization. Mikey transmitted the proposal. Karen responded. I accept. The gate flickered. Glyphs reignited. The ring began to spin. Pharaoh's gate was open again. But now every ship carried more than cargo. Every crossing was a negotiation, and Mikey Wheeler was no longer just a technician. He was the toll collector for the dead. Chapter 4. The Arrival of Diana Nasher. The gate reopened, but Mikey Wheeler didn't feel relief. He felt watched. Pharaoh's gate spun slowly, its glyphs pulsing like a heartbeat. Ships resumed their crossings, freighters, liners, military fleets, but each passage now carried a toll. 1 spirit per vessel, 1 soul for the ghost's realm. Victor had adapted quickly, rewriting its protocols to accommodate spectral traffic. But Mikey hadn't. He was still reeling from the ghost's ultimatum, from the council's dismissal, from the eerie quiet that followed the gate's blackout. Then command sent him a companion. Diana Nasher. She arrived in a sleek diplomatic shuttle, her silhouette framed by the station's docking bay lights. Tall, composed, wrapped in a robe of woven starlight, she looked more like a blonde starlet than a medium. Mikey met her at the airlock, unsure whether to salute or apologize. You're the Gatekeeper, she said, stepping aboard. Her voice was calm, but her eyes scanned everything. Walls, consoles, Mikey himself. And you're the ghost liaison, Mikey replied. Victor chimed in. Welcome aboard, Diana Nasher. Please note, Station Aegis is not optimized for dual habitation. I recommend spatial compromise. Diana smiled faintly. I've lived in worse places, and with worse company. Mikey led her to the observation deck. Outside, the gate shimmered. A freighter passed through, followed by a flickering shape. A spirit, barely visible, drifting toward the void. "They're coming," Mikey said. "Some willingly, some not." Diana nodded. "I've spoken to them. They're confused. Some think this is purgatory. Others think it's a second chance." "And what do you think?" "I think it's a negotiation between memory and meaning." They spent the next hours configuring the station. Diana converted one of the unused modules into a spectral registry, inscribing it with sigils and resonance fields. Victor protested, but Mikey overruled him. "She's here to help," he said. "Let her do it her way." Spirits began arriving in greater numbers. Some were ancient, their forms barely coherent. Others were fresh, still tethered to grief. Diana greeted each one, recorded their names, offered them passage. But not all spirits were cooperative. One, a former warlord named Ving Talor, refused to cross the gate, radiating fury. "I will not be exiled," he growled. "I will not be forgotten." Diana approached him calmly. "You're not being forgotten. You're being offered a world." "A prison," he spat. Mikey watched from the console. "Can we force him?" Diana shook her head. "We don't force the dead. We persuade them." She spent hours with Ving, unraveling his memories, offering him dignity. Eventually, he crossed, his form dissolving into the gate's light. Mikey was impressed. "You're good at this." "I've had practice," she said, "and I believe in Ghost World." Victor interrupted. "Incoming transmission. Medium faction leader Thalos has declared Ghost World unethical. Demands immediate shutdown." Diana's face darkened. "Thalos believes spirits should remain free, untethered. He sees Ghost World as a cage." "Is he wrong?" Diana turned to Mikey. "Would you rather drift forever, or build something new?" Mikey didn't answer. Outside, the gate pulsed. Another ship arrived. Another spirit followed. And inside Station Aegis, two humans, one gatekeeper, one medium, stood between the living and the dead, trying to make sense of a toll that was never meant to be paid. Chapter 5. The Tollkeeper's Burden. The spirits came in waves. Some drifted silently through the gate, their forms barely coherent, fragments of memory, emotion, and unfinished stories. Others arrived with purpose, their spectral presence sharp and defiant. Mikey logged each one, while Diana greeted them with quiet reverence. Station Aegis had become a crossroads between realms. The living passed through in ships. The dead passed through in silence. Victor adapted quickly. The AI now ran dual manifests, physical and spectral, tracking cargo, crew, and soul. It had even developed a new voice modulation for ghost interactions, softer, slower, almost mournful. "This is not traffic control," Victor muttered one evening. "This is ritual." Mikey agreed. He hadn't slept in 2 days. The influx was relentless. Every ship brought another spirit. Every spirit brought another story. And every story chipped away at him. Diana noticed. "You're unraveling," she said, handing him a nutrient pack. "You need rest." "I need answers," Mikey replied. "This ghost, Karen, he's not just lonely. He's orchestrating something." Diana frowned. "You think he's lying?" "I think he's hiding." They began digging. Victor accessed ancient gate schematics buried in encrypted archives. Diana performed resonance scans, tracing the metaphysical architecture of the gate. What they found wasn't comforting. There was a second layer beneath Pharaoh's gate, a sealed substructure, older than the gate itself, a dimensional cavity locked behind quantum encryption. Victor called it the breach. Diana called it a tomb. Mikey stared at the data. What if Karen isn't just a ghost? What if he's a remnant? A remnant of what? Of the gate's original architect, or its first victim? Diana went silent. Then she whispered, He said something once. When I first contacted him, he said, "They buried me in the code." Victor ran a linguistic analysis, possible metaphor or literal truth. If Karen was once human, once alive, he may have been absorbed into the gate's architecture during its activation. Mikey felt a chill. Then every spirit we send is feeding him. Diana's eyes widened. He's not building a world, he's building himself. Outside, the gate pulsed. A military cruiser passed through. 3 spirits followed, soldiers, their forms rigid, their memories sharp. Victor flagged an anomaly. Spectral density increasing, gate resonance destabilizing. Mikey turned to Diana. "We need to confront him." She nodded, but not as gatekeepers, as witnesses. They activated the breach protocol. The station trembled, the gate flickered, and Karen appeared, clearer than ever. His form was no longer translucent. He was tall, cloaked, his face etched with sorrow and pride. "You found my grave," he said. Mikey stepped forward. "You were the first. I was the architect. I built the passage. I sealed the breach. And they left me here." Diana's voice was steady. "You're rebuilding yourself, using the spirits." "I am remembering," Charon said. "I am becoming." Mikey felt the weight of it. The toll wasn't payment, it was resurrection. Victor interrupted. "Gate stability at risk. Recommend immediate disengagement." But Mikey didn't move. "Charon," he said, "what happens when you're whole?" The ghost paused. "Then I will open the second gate. The breach, the tomb, the unknown." Chapter 5. The New Gatekeeper. Pharaoh's gate spun quietly, its glyphs glowing like embers in the dark. The breach had been sealed. Karen had faded, not destroyed, but dispersed, his essence scattered across the spectral lattice of Ghost World. The resurrection had failed, or perhaps succeeded in a different way. He was no longer a threat. He was a myth. Mikey Wheeler stood at the viewport watching a freighter pass through. A spirit followed, calm, curious, unburdened. The toll was no longer a transaction. It was a ritual, a passage, a choice. Diana Nasher stood beside him, her presence as familiar now as the hum of the station. She had stayed longer than anyone expected, longer than she'd planned. Her registry glowed softly behind her, filled with names, memories, and echoes. Victor's voice was gentle. "Traffic nominal. Ghost world stable. No anomalies detected." Mikey smiled. "For now." They watched the gate in silence. Not the strained silence of strangers, but the kind that settles between people who've shared too much to speak. Diana's shoulder brushed his. She didn't move away. "I've been offered a post on the council," she said quietly. "Ghost World Liaison. Permanent." Mikey nodded. "You should take it." "I haven't decided." He turned to her. "Why not?" She met his gaze. "Because I'm not sure I want to leave." Outside, the gate pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Victor interrupted. "Incoming transmission, routine manifest, civilian transport, one spirit." Mikey logged it. Diana watched him work. Her hand lingered near his on the console, not touching, but close enough to feel. "You've changed," she said. "So have you." They didn't say more. They didn't need to. Ghost World thrived. Spirits built cities of light, gardens of memory, archives of forgotten truths. Some returned to haunt. Others stayed to heal. The living sent emissaries. The dead sent dreams. The gate became more than a portal. It became a promise. Mikey trained successors, humans, mediums, even AI constructs. He taught them not just how to manage traffic, but how to listen, how to honor, how to hold space for the unseen. Diana remained, for now. She moved between realms, between roles, but always returned to Aegis Station. And each time Mikey felt the silence grow warmer. One evening, as the stars shifted and the gate shimmered, she stood beside him again. "Do you ever wonder what's beyond Ghost World?" she asked. Mikey looked at her, not the gate. "Always." And then he turned back to his console, ready for the next crossing, because the gate was open, and someone had to keep it. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.